In the story of Exodus, the Jewish people, after being liberated from their chains of bondage, began a long journey to their promised land. They began this journey full of hope, a hope based on a faith in their covenant and a faith in each other through their love of each other. And so, Lord, we pray, Lord, on the long journey to our promised land, we ask for the strength and for the humility to accept the challenge given to us by Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. the night before he died, to adopt an attitude of dangerous unselfishness. And through this attitude, help us to discard our self-centered chains of bondage and liberate us from all that holds us down and keeps us from selflessly giving of ourselves and from completing our journey. And along our journey, we ask that you fill our hearts with your hope so that we may fully understand that as you guided your chosen people through the desert on their journey, you are ready to guide us on our journey. And as lived by those full of hope, our lives should embody generosity and forgiveness, consistently seeing the goodness in others, being patient with their shortcomings, and tenaciously envision them at their best. And through this hope, and through our faith in you, and through our love for you and for each other, and through the example of all the men and women who gave their lives to defend and protect us, help us to come together as one community, to fully accept and to unselfishly act out what we declared at the founding of our country, that we are all created equal, and that we are endowed by you with the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. For this we pray, amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the presentation of the colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets right glide, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our Master of Ceremonies for the 2021 If Not Me, Then Who Gala. Renowned journalist and founder of Smarter News, Jenna Lee.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Renowned is not, I didn't write that, but thank you, Ryan, very much. I am a journalist. I'll talk to you a little bit about that, but good evening and welcome, and thank you so much for having me. It's so wonderful to be among such an elegant crowd on a special evening, an important evening that's also going to be a lot of fun. So we're really looking forward to this. This really feels like a homecoming in many ways. It's so nice to be back in person. How lucky are we that we're sitting here with each other face to face? If we've learned anything over the last 2 years, it's to appreciate these moments and to really be able to visit and share a meal and share a story and have a really good evening. It's a homecoming for me as well. I emceed the first Travis Manion Foundation Gala back in 2012, and it's so nice to be back and be able to contribute in a very small way to what truly is a unique organization. I've had the great opportunity, to be around a lot of really amazing veterans and military organizations. And there's a lot of really great work being done around the country. But there's only one Travis Manion Foundation. And I say that, yes, please. I say that having done quite a bit of research. I'm a wife of a decorated combat veteran. I'm also a journalist that spent a lot of time reporting on this topic. In fact, the last time I joined you, I was a national news anchor at the Fox News Channel in what I thought was a dream job. And in many ways it was, and I'm really grateful for that opportunity. But a few years ago, I had to make a very difficult choice, and I suddenly felt like I wasn't living the story that I really was supposed to. And that's a very difficult revelation for anyone that's worked really hard at anything, but especially a journalist who wants to report authentic stories. So I decided to leave, not knowing exactly what lay ahead, but I really believe in a disciplined, healthy, service-oriented, nonpartisan, free press. And I think it's critical for us and for the nation. And I have spent the last several years developing a digital nonpartisan news platform called Smarter News. And it's growing and thriving. Even though it's smarter, don't worry guys, you're welcome too. It's not only for women. So I'm honored to be back. I'm honored to be back in this new role that really allows me to prioritize the story over everything else. And I was thinking of the story that brought us all here tonight. Those that inspired this evening to take place. Travis Manion and his mother, Janet. You know, thank you. You know, I never had the opportunity, obviously, to meet Travis or Janet, but I find myself often thinking about them and missing them without ever really knowing them. And you may feel this way too every once in a while when you learn of a loss. A service member, for example, killed in action. You can feel both inspired by them, but also sad. You know, we can appreciate the catalyst while also wishing we could erase the loss. And I want to acknowledge that at the beginning of the evening. We wouldn't be here tonight without them, but we'd love for them to be here. We'd love for them to be here. One of the lessons I learned over the last several years in my own life and in my work is to get really comfortable leaving room for conflicting feelings and information. Because for the most part, stories are always developing. And I find real freedom in thinking more on the stories we share as ongoing conversations. Even if someone isn't here physically, their story continues. It has impact, it evolves. And it's a very powerful concept in journalism and in life because it alleviates the pressure of wanting to know everything immediately. And it gives you permission to stay more present, to pay attention to what really matters. And the Travis Manion Foundation understands that concept better than any group I've ever known, because a key part of the foundation is prioritizing, preserving great American stories. So we never forget the sacrifices made and the real heroes that are among us. I felt that importance very much today, walking the historic streets of Philadelphia around Independence Hall and the Liberty Bell. I did that with my 3 children, 7, 5, and 2, so this is the most relaxed I've been all day. Thanks for having me. Yeah, thank you. You know, when you walk the streets, you walk these areas, you think about who was actually there before us. The history is just it's overwhelming. We live in a glorious nation. When we feel lost, these are the stories that lead us home, for us and for them. It's multi-generational. And that's what the Travis Manion Foundation does, not only telling the stories of those we've lost, making the ultimate sacrifice for the nation, but putting action in these stories. It's like writing a score and then hearing the symphony. The work actually brings the story to life. It becomes something you remember and act upon and carry with you. And the story, like a good melody, stays with you and it changes you. And it becomes something you truly never forget. You'll hear the story behind If Not Me, Then Who tonight. And yet, even this past year, we've seen new ways we can apply it that we could not have expected, even for those closest to it. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time and the effort to be here. It's no easy task, and to allow our storylines to intersect during a very busy season of life and a very specific and important time in history. We're going to have a really good night. I'm really glad you're here. So, we do have a few quick things to attend to. Just quickly, a little bit of catching up because we weren't in person last year. And I want to take a moment to acknowledge 2 of our 2020 honorees who are with us this evening in person. We're especially proud to welcome Ashley Flynn. Ashley is a former critical care nurse and former lieutenant in the United States Navy who received the If Not Me, Then Who Leadership Award last year at a virtual gala for her work as a veteran mentor in the Character Does Matter Youth Mentorship Program. Sorry, Ashley. The pressure, Ashley, it's a year delayed. They just needed you to stand up sooner, so thank you. You're going to have to stand up for a little bit. Just stay there for a second. You look great. But it's Ashley's role in the youth mentorship program and her work on the front lines of the fight against COVID-19 that makes it so special to have her here tonight. So Ashley, thank you very much. It's great to see you in person. I'm also very excited to share that we're joined tonight by Chairman and Chief Executive Officer Eileen McDonnell of the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. Penn Mutual was the 2020 recipient of our Community Leadership Award for their commitment to support veteran and active duty service members and their families. So this is the time they were supposed to, let's have them stand up together, right? We'll do one big round of applause. Ashley and Eileen, would you stand up? I'd also like to take a moment to thank all the volunteers and supporters and friends and partners in the audience. You're here tonight because you embody the If Not Me, Then Who ethos. You show up for the formal events like this one at the Union League Club, but more importantly, you show up to serve and lead in your own community, and that matters all year round. We also want to thank some of the key sponsors who make tonight possible. Without their generous support of the If Not Me, Then Who movement, it wouldn't be where it is today. So please hold your applause. We have a list, but it's an important one, and I want to make sure we get to all the names. So our warrior level, Johnson & Johnson. Our honor level, the Morel Family Foundation. The champion level, Amazon. Advanced Aviation Team. The Boeing Company. Carlyle Group, Comcast, Deloitte, Goldman Sachs & Company. Penn Medicine, the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. PNC Bank, Poland Capital, Peretta and Orr. UBS, Under Armour, the Wounded Warrior Project, and at our challenge level, Becton Dickinson and Company, BP Business Solutions, Sean and Felicia Daly, John and Jesse Denome, Firstrust Bank and Green Family Foundation, GI Johns, the Halen Group, Hunt Military Communities, Dr. Joseph and Barbara Kesselring, Leidos, McCausland Foundation, Princeton Brain and Spine, RTI International, the Sheriff Family Foundation, Truist, Croft Young, and Carlo Peccori, Peccori. Sorry, Carlo. There's always one. I'm sorry. Where's Carlo? Is Carlo here? I'm sorry, Carlo. Carlo, I'll buy you a drink. I'm sorry. I had almost the whole thing through. Yeah. TMF is fortunate to have far too many integrity level and individual sponsors to name, so we say thank you to you all. We are so grateful for your support and for making this evening a success, so please join me in giving a warm round of applause to all of our generous supporters and sponsors. All right. There'll be a quiz on that later, so hopefully you were listening. It's going to be, as I mentioned, it's going to be a very special evening, and we would not be here if not for our next guest. Not even a guest, she's the reason we're all here. It's our next speaker. It's time to introduce the force really behind the Travis Manion Foundation. She's a sister of Travis and the president of the Travis Manion Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage Ryan Manion.
Thank you, Jenna, for that introduction. We're not here tonight for me. We're here because of all of us and the work we collectively do together. But Jenna, we're honored to have you MC tonight's program. I think back to 2012, and this was actually a vision that my mom had, to bring together our supporters, to come together and celebrate the work that we were doing. And sadly, she passed before her vision had been executed. And I remember that first night and how emotional I was to have this all happen, and it was awesome. I'm so grateful to all of our honorees, distinguished guests, partners, our presenting sponsor, Johnson & Johnson, as well as our supporters and volunteers who are joining us at this beautiful and historic venue to celebrate all of the accomplishments that we've achieved together. It means so much to come together once again, especially after having spent the last year apart, and reconnect our Spartan community. There is no doubt that the last several months, the pandemic and the fallout from it, have caused a great deal of upheaval for so many of us. And when I think back on the events that have transpired since we last gathered in this room 2 years ago, I'm reminded of a quote from Helen Keller. She famously said that character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened, vision cleared, ambition inspired, and success achieved. And that's exactly what we're here to celebrate tonight. The success that has been achieved through trial and suffering, and the character of our community that has been forged in these challenging times. I could not be prouder of the ways our community, led by veterans and families of the fallen, have stepped up to bridge gaps and serve the needs of their local communities. Whether it was organizing food and clothing drives for those dealing with acute needs, developing online mentoring and character programs for our youth to adapt to changing academic landscapes, or providing community and connection for the isolated, our veterans and families of the fallen have consistently led the way. And not only has that made our organization more resilient in the face of adversity, it's also made us more technically efficient, agile in our response, creative in our problem solving, and generally stronger. Just as Helen Keller said, our character has not been developed in ease and quiet. I'd like to take a moment to showcase exactly what I mean when I say that our Spartans are bridging the gap these last several months. Let's take a quick look back at 2021 and the leaders who made it such a success.
This year challenged us like no other, but it also allowed us to see what we are capable of, both as an organization and as a community, answering the needs of our veterans and families of the fallen, adapting to the obstacles thrown at us, meeting and exceeding the goals we had for ourselves when it came to connecting with youth and addressing the needs of communities nationwide. It truly demonstrated the incredible resilience of Travis Manion Foundation.
By
I think what's so amazing about the organization is it's both developed me individually, but given me more tools to help those around me. And I think, the Spartan Leadership Program really perfectly embodies that.
I'd like to gain the ability to work with the younger people of America because I have so much to give to them. I recognized that a long time ago, that I needed to give a lot of this back, but I didn't know how. And if not me, then who is really teaching me those traits to get it done?
Been unbelievable, the impact that TMF has had on my life. There's a before TMF and there's an after TMF, and how much growth I have found.
Community of people who care, who love, who appreciate what I do, who I am, and that just, I don't know, nothing beats that. It's like having a whole new family.
The formula for our work is quite simple. We are intimately aware of the civic assets that our military community represents. So armed with that knowledge, we equip veterans and families of the fallen with the training, community, and resources that empower them to be of service to others. And then we provide them with opportunities to do what they do best, to lead, to serve, and to make us all better. And of course, it's always difficult to demonstrate in 2 or 3 minutes of video and images what a powerful community has achieved in an entire year. But thankfully, I don't need to lean entirely on video content to share with you what this looks like, because we're joined tonight by so many of the veterans, survivors, and inspired civilians who lead these efforts year-round. There are too many to call out by name, but I especially like to recognize members of our Spartan Leadership Program who are here tonight, as well as veterans and survivors who serve as mentors in our Youth Character Development Program. We're fortunate to have leaders like Naval Flight Officer Zach Bogoslawski, who recently, where's Zach? There's Zach right there. Zach recently graduated from our 7-month leadership program. Zach has a passion for supporting the needs of youth in juvenile justice centers or those who are at high risk of being detained. So after completing his 7-month educational journey with us, Zach is now setting his sights on implementing character education and mentorship programming for youth in these facilities to show them a different perspective and offer a positive outlook in the futures outside the system. We're also joined tonight by leaders like Marine Corps veteran Chad Johnson, our Raleigh chapter leader. Where's Chad? When Chad isn't galvanizing his North Carolina Spartans to complete a challenging workout to honor the fallen, or rucking food and supplies to local shelters, or volunteering to lay flags at the grave sites of the fallen in Arlington, he's spending what little free time he has mentoring the next generation. From online character education lessons to in-person service projects and youth mentorship, Chad is dedicated to sharing the character and leadership he learned in the military with the future leaders of this country. I could go on and on with examples of outstanding individuals in this room. And the conclusion would always be the same. Our military community, the veterans and families of fallen that lead this organization, are better equipped to do this work than anyone I can think of. And at the center of this foundation and the people who lead it is a deep, deep desire to honor the legacies of the men and women who have gone before us and sacrificed so much. We are forever grateful and humbled by those who have paid the ultimate sacrifice and given their lives for the freedoms we enjoy. I'd like to take a moment to recognize the men and women in this room who understand this sacrifice profoundly. The families of the fallen who have lost loved ones and yet wake up every day continuing to find ways to honor their legacies by serving with TMF. Please stand as I call your name and we'll hold our applause until the very end. Bob and Linda Craven, parents of Captain Scott Craven, United States Air Force. Thomas and Inez Hickson, son and daughter-in-law of machinist mate First Class Christopher Hickson, United States Navy. Sarah Jameson, wife of Sergeant Billy West Jameson, United States Marine Corps. Teresa Jones, wife of Lieutenant Commander Landon Jones, United States Navy. Samantha Reed, fiance of Specialist Preston Jones, United States Army. Stephanie Keegan, mother of Sergeant Daniel Keegan, United States Army. Heather Kelly, wife of First Lieutenant Robert Kelly, United States Marine Corps. John and Gail Moscow, parents of Lieutenant Christopher Moscow, United States Navy. Brian Stortz, brother of Petty Officer 3rd Class Tammy Stortz, United States Navy. Monica Velez, sister of Jose Freddy Velez, United States Army, and Specialist Andrew Velez, United States Army. Ashley Whitlock, wife of Captain Nicholas Whitlock, United States Air Force. I also want to recognize Commander of SEAL Team 8, Brian Bourgeois, a 2001 graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy who died this week as a result of his injuries in a training accident. His loss is another reminder of the continued sacrifice that our men and women in uniform make every single day. Thank you to the families here tonight for allowing us to recognize your loved one's sacrifice. And thank you for continuing to serve as an example of the strength of character that this country aspires to. As I think most of us in this room are well aware, there are 5 words that drive every decision, every action, and every act of service at our organization. They're the 5 words that my brother spoke before leaving for his final deployment to Iraq. If not me, then who? And as we've already seen, this ethos is at the heart of what our community has accomplished this year. As I conclude my remarks this evening, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention a way that this ethos showed up for me, and I think most of us who have a personal connection to those who have fought in the global war on terror. A few months ago, in mid-August, as the war in Afghanistan came to an abrupt end, I, like many of you, felt deeply connected to and disheartened by the events unfolding on the nightly news. I saw the heartbreaking stories of Afghan men and women who watched their freedoms slip away quickly at the hands of a newly instated Taliban regime. And I worried for those who had served honorably alongside American forces. We all, of course, saw these stories on TV, but I'd like to take a moment and share with you a glimpse into my friend Bashamal's story, and to really bring to life what this historical moment meant for so many families like his. At the end of August 2021, the U.S. pulled out of Afghanistan after a 20-year war. it left many of the Afghan people fleeing for their safety. One of them was my friend Bashamal and his family.
In August 15, Taliban took control of all of the countries. We are afraid from them because we have projects with US Army.
They said Taliban is coming. Everyone was running everywhere.
I sent him a text on August 18th and it just said, "Are you still in Afghanistan?" And I remember kind of feeling like desperation. I knew Bashamal was an SIV applicant along with his brother. I knew that he had served next to our US military for 8 years. And I felt a calling. And, you know, honestly, I listened to my brother's words, "If not me, then who?" I had no idea what I was going to do. I really had no idea how I could possibly help, but I knew I had to do something. And I put out a message on social media and said, you know, does anybody have any contacts at the Abbey Gate? I connected with Jared, who was an Air Force captain. He said that he could help.
The conditions were awful. It was 95 degrees. There was no shade. There was no water, hardly any food. People were about as desperate as you could possibly be, I think.
How was Jared going to be able to identify my friends? And we put up a sign. We gave them a keyword, Spurgeon.
I walked over there and talked to the lieutenant that happened to be in charge, and I was like, "Hey, I need this family right now."
And then I got a text from Jared. I remember lying in that bed and just being blown away. I was like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they made it through." Bashamal texted me, "We are in." I said, "I need proof, show me you're in." He sent me a picture of Jared along with little Atal. And I cannot think of a time in my life where I have felt more pure gratitude for and happiness and thankfulness for the fact that they got through.
And now we are very happy here, and we have anything, and now we became now a family members with Ryan's family.
The foundation helped us and to my family, to everyone, and I want to be a part of this. I want to help to other people. So I will be here and I will be work here with Travis Manion Foundation.
I was sent to Hamid Karzai International as part of a personnel recovery task force. We realized, though, once we made it out to the gates, after the first couple days, that mission was no longer going to be the primary focus, and that if we, as a personnel recovery task force, we're not going to act, then nobody was going to be able to help these people. You know, it coincided with the values of this organization. You know, if we didn't do it, you know, who was going to help these people? Who was going to do it?
I am honored and humbled to share with you that Bashamal, his brother Mohammed, and Major Jared Lefebvre are here with us this evening. Will the three of you please stand so we can recognize you? I share this story with you not just because I think it's important to demonstrate the very real ways that challenges abroad have come home to us in the last few months, but also to demonstrate the power of if not me, then who, and what can be achieved when men like Jared do whatever we can to serve the needs of others. And I also want to take this opportunity to announce that in the spirit of this ethos, TMF is committed to help aid in the resettlement of our Afghan allies, led by Bashamal and Mohammed through the Travis Manion Foundation. staying true to who we are and what we do, this will be another excellent way for veterans in this TMF community to put the if not me, then who ethos into action while helping our Afghan allies that fought so bravely beside us for the past 20 years. You'll be hearing more about these efforts in the coming weeks and months, but please know that your support of our mission is continuing to empower veterans to serve in very critical and unique ways. You know, we never could have imagined where we would be today, but what we've achieved together could not be possible without the individuals in this room who have stepped up and gone above and beyond to support our mission. In closing, I want to honor and thank all of the men and women who stand guard tonight and fight to protect the values that we hold so dear. I express my deep gratitude for each of you as we tackle the next set of challenges that sit on the horizon. God bless all of those who have served and continue to serve right here at home. God bless the families and communities that support them. And God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ryan. To our Gold Star families who are attending the If Not Me, Then Who Gala for the very first time this evening, you've received a stained glass Gold Star at your place setting, which has been customized with the name of your fallen hero. And these gifts were made by students at the College of the Ozarks. They have provided them just as a small way to pay tribute to those who have given the ultimate sacrifice and to let you know your loved ones' legacies will live on forever. We're going to take a break for dinner, but I encourage you to visit the registration table outside the main ballroom where you can pick up your complimentary photo print from tonight's cocktail reception. Also, please take a moment to use the QR code in your program book. This is not how you order drinks this evening. I know we're used to that now. It's actually for something more important, okay? You can make a donation right from your phone, and you'll have the opportunity to join the Travis Manion Foundation's Spartan Society giving program if you're not already a member. And just a note on that, I want to announce something special. All donations made tonight will be matched up to $100,000 by our generous private donor, so consider it. With that, please enjoy your dinner. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you enjoyed your dinner. For the very first time tonight, for the If Not Me, Then Who Gala, we just want to make sure that you remember that it's brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Johnson & Johnson. The Travis Manion Foundation is so proud to partner with an organization committed to supporting our military community and led by former military leaders. Let's learn a bit more about our sponsor, Johnson & Johnson.
When you're the oldest baby company in the world, you learn something important. Babies grow up. They fall down. They have fevers. They break bones. Some develop acne. Allergies and nearsightedness. They need to be stitched up, given a chance against HIV, protected from the sun. They have ups and downs and babies of their own. Sometimes they go to dark places and need help getting back. That's why Johnson & Johnson isn't just a baby company. We're a company developing robotics to find and treat cancer. We make custom joint replacements, restore heart rhythms, repair shattered bones, help you back from strokes and make every chapter of your life the best it can be. No, Johnson & Johnson isn't just a baby company. We're a keep you healthy your whole life company. And from the day you're born, we never stop taking care of you.
Please join me in welcoming Chairman and CEO of Johnson & Johnson and Vice Chairman of the Travis Manion Foundation Board of Directors, Mr. Alex Gorsky.
Thank you, Jenna, very much for that very warm introduction. And I got to tell you, I'm such a sucker for those videos. I start crying every time I see them. But no, in all sincerity, it just makes me so proud of the remarkable work that the almost 140,000 colleagues at Johnson & Johnson are doing each and every day to help people live longer, healthier, and happier lives. And particularly if we all just think about the last 20 months. And Jenna, as you said earlier in your remarks, to actually be back together, I'm sorry, virtual's only okay. Being together, being real, it's just, okay, you can't do that vicariously. You got to do it face to face. And please know that there were literally thousands of people working 24/7, night and day, on a vaccine that I'm sure there's quite a few people in this room probably have taken that have helped make tonight possible. And for that, I could not be more proud. And by the way, it's not just Johnson & Johnson, but I couldn't be more proud of the entire biopharmaceutical industry. At a time when the world really needed us, after decades and decades of investment. And by the way, these scientists, sometimes we think that these are people that are up in an ivory tower. No way. These were moms and dads that were worried about their parents, that were worried about their kids being homeschooled, that poured their heart and soul into what ordinarily would take about 17 years, they did in 7 months. And we just owe them a huge, huge gratitude. Look, next, I would also be remiss if I didn't recognize the two tables over here of my Johnson & Johnson colleagues. I'm incredibly honored and humbled to be able to represent them because it's not about me at all, but it's about the work that they do each and every day to make all that stuff possible. Thank you very much. So, look, as you all know, and many of you, as I look around the room, have been here about as many times as I have. You probably say, okay, there he's going to go. He's going to say the same thing again. But I always start by saying this is one of my favorite freaking nights of the year. I mean, when else can you get together with so many great Americans, all aligned behind a shared value system, and given the polarization that occurs in our country, to see us to be able to come together behind this kind of a cause, behind those who have served, their families, that kind of commitment, it just represents all that's good in our country. And whether it's tonight, tomorrow, getting ready for the game, I love it. The game's always incredible. One thing I know for sure, America will win on Saturday. So I'll leave it there because I could go a lot of places, but I'll hold it right there. Hey, Tom, they're really testing me here, but I'm right down the middle, General. Okay, I'm just right down the middle. But look, we at Johnson & Johnson could not be more proud to be here tonight. And look, also, as many of you know, the Manion family is something that's incredibly close to my heart. And Ryan, I got to tell you, I am just so proud of you and the work that you've done. Your mom is smiling like crazy right now. And, to see how far this organization has come, from the dream that we had, over a bottle of wine. And to see this come alive the way that it has is just awesome. Could not be more proud. And look, it's particularly important at a time when it's here in the United States, but unfortunately really around the world, everyone is trying to grapple with a lot of uncertainty, disruption in the face of COVID and other things. But when you think about that calling that Janet had about, hey, how do we give back? How do we make sure that Travis's memory stays alive? And what we're talking about here tonight, bridging gaps, it's just really important on how all of us can step up and make a difference, because it's not just about big organizations, but it's about all of us as individuals stepping up, especially in this time of need. Now, I think in particular, that's a time where the military and the veteran community always leads the way, because it's made up of special people, people who are used to serving, people who are used to being part of something bigger than themselves. And that's exactly what the Travis Manion Foundation is, and the Character Does Matter. And really, what I want to do is thank Under Armour for their important role in helping to make all this possible. Now, let's give them a big round of applause. Now, as we all know, character does matter. It starts from a couple of principles. The first, unfortunately, is many veterans, and many that I know personally, some of my own classmates, they just feel a bit disconnected from civilian life. They're still swimming a bit, trying to figure it out. And unfortunately, if we look around here, more broadly across the United States, about a third of youth really haven't had the kind of role model that many of us had along the way, someone who we looked up to and said, wow, I really want to be like them. And so the secret sauce is, how do we connect these two groups and bring them together when they can create really life-changing results? And as veterans, as families of fallen, being mentors for young people, and you take the Character Does Matter and the leadership program, you bring them all together, and it really helps instill a lifelong appreciation for the power of service at a time when I would argue it's never been more important for our country than ever. So let me pause just a second and watch a video about Character Does Matter, because I think this is really one of these seminal programs of TMF, and the partnership that Under Armour has really helped foster and bring together to make this all possible.
You answered the call, risked everything to stand for something, played your part, did your job. So what now? What's left to stand for? To give? Maybe it's not what, but who. Maybe the best way to stand for something is to stand for somebody else. Somebody who knows about grit, hope, determination. Somebody with all the potential in the world, who just might teach you a thing or two. Join the mission at travismanion.org.
All right. Was that awesome or what? Well, I got to admit, when I woke up at about 4:45 this morning, as I usually do, and I got ready to do PT, I go in my closet, and what's the first thing I pull out is my Under Armour skivvies. And I pulled those things on, getting ready to do my workout, and I knew that they were going to support me, just like they are this program. They got you covered. So look, it's with that same spirit tonight that we're really here honoring an inspiring leader who's helped rally that organization, who really exemplifies the value of purpose and pulling together brothers and sisters up when a lot of other people are down. And I want to extend my personal heartfelt congratulations to tonight's Community Leadership Award winner, Patrick Fisk, CEO of Under Armour. Now, look, we also know that as fellow CEOs, that when you get these kind of awards, it's never about us. It's about the great organizations that we have the privilege to work with, the people who make it happen every day, and the people from Under Armour who are here. Thank you so much for making this effort and for being here. It just means a tremendous amount with you and all of our partners here tonight. But I know that you and under Patrick's leadership, that this initiative has just had a profound impact on the military community. And everybody in the military who's had a chance to serve, and you see it in the videos that you're showing, they're familiar with the Under Armour's high quality products. They love wearing that kind of gear, and it's chosen because they feel that the values that Under Armour has really stands for this commitment about, helping to support others, helping to take care of people and communities. And, to use an analogy that I think would be fitting, is literally woven into the fabric of the company. And you being here tonight demonstrates how you want to extend that beyond to have a real impact in the community and the Travis Manion Foundation. Now, I did a little research for tonight, and it's also clear that the spirit in the company around encouraging employees to get involved, roll up the sleeves, get involved in resource groups. They're involved with the Travis Manion Foundation. They participate. They're involved in a lot of the programs. They share creative marketing strategies in partnership with the TMF to try to reach even more people, storytelling, and ultimately to really make a difference. And really importantly, as the national sponsor of Character Does Matter, they are helping that next generation because, look, those 9, 10, 11, 12-year-olds, they love that stuff. They are motivated. That gives them a connection, and that's going to keep it alive for decades to come. So thank you so much for your commitment and your service to the military community and the world. And so now I'd like to turn it over to Patrick, who I think we've got a video to share some special recognition on a video message.
Alex, thank you so much for that introduction. I would be remiss not to congratulate you on your soon-to-be transition from CEO to board chairman at J&J. Watching from afar, you've done a terrific job leading from 2012 to now with an unprecedented challenge of a global pandemic in that time frame. Congrats to you, and thank you for your leadership and dedication as you continue to serve on the board at the Travis Manion Foundation. With that said, I'm sorry that I cannot be there this evening in person. Receiving the 2021 Community Leadership Award on behalf of Under Armour is an incredible honor. To start, I'd like to thank Colonel Manion and Ryan, the staff, veterans, and the volunteers for being great partners. Your leadership and focus is what makes this partnership so special. You continue to inspire us all by showing up to support communities, veterans, and families of fallen soldiers. As a former service member, I understand the grit, the determination, the sacrifice, and the struggle. I understand the perseverance that comes with raising your hand to serve your country. That is why the UA Freedom Initiative and all our partners are vitally important to me and to our brand. Celebrating the men, the women, and the families who have served so honorably to ensure our freedom. As I've learned from hearing Travis's story and witnessing the work being done through the Character Does Matter program, the Travis Manion Foundation and Under Armour are authentically linked through our values. I have always been struck by the story of how the mantra, if not me, then who, came to be. These few simple words are a reflection of Travis's commitment to support his country and to do so without hesitation. In that same mindset, our partnership was born to build better communities together, to inspire and to support those who strive for more. Our purpose and our values drive our work, which in turn enables us to develop meaningful partnerships that undoubtedly deepen our connectivity with community and our consumers. As we look at the over 400,000 kids we have impacted and over 1,800 Spartan leaders we have developed, it makes me so proud to see our true authenticity showing up as we continue to fight on together. Supporting our communities has and will always be at the core of Under Armour's DNA. From building up our hometown of Baltimore to contributing to the efforts of the Spartans in communities around the country. As we leave this evening, let us all accept the opportunity to inspire each other, to serve for the betterment of our community, and when called upon, simply ask yourself, if not me, then who? Thank you for this recognition and for accepting Under Armour and its teammates as members of the Spartan community. Have a great evening.
Well, again, thank you so much, Under Armour. And look, just also another special note of thanks for all the sponsors here tonight. Jenna went through the listing earlier, but as I look around the tables, I see so many partners of ours at Johnson & Johnson, TMF, and other areas. And, I think we have an awesome example in this country of how we can have these kind of partnerships between corporations and organizations like TMF. And when the leaders of the organizations show up the way that so many of you had personally, everyone's got a chance to have a lot of different rubber chicken dinners. But when you show up with skin in the game and make that kind of a dinner, it means the world. So thank you very much. Jenna?
I just said after watching that video, I get a little worried about falling off the stage. Thank you, Alex. You never know what you're going to learn, at events like this. What's that conversation starter, and now we all know what kind of skivvies the CEO of Johnson & Johnson wears. Yeah. That's a tough act to follow, Colonel Manion. We are going to give a warm welcome to our next speaker, the Chairman Emeritus of the Travis Manion Foundation, and Marine Colonel Tom Manion.
Thank you, Jenna. So, as you've heard already tonight, just want to echo how great it is to be back together again. And I'm just inspired by everyone here and what we do collectively to come together and just make an impact. And it's amazing where we started from and where we are now. And I know, in speaking with the team, and their sights are set for, the next 10 years and the bigger impact that we're going to be able to make. So I'm super excited not only about what we've done, but where we're going. So thanks for that. And okay, so something's rolling here, but that wasn't on the script. Yeah, no. But okay. Well, there's, okay. As I get it, yeah. As we gather here tonight, I can't help but reflect on the surprising ways that life can throw curveballs at us that can really knock us off our feet. And yet, when we stand to meet these challenges head on, it can change our lives for the better. I think we can look at the last year or two as a great example of this. Not too long ago, no one could have foreseen the global pandemic headed our way. And despite all the upheaval and difficulty it caused, it also provided a great opportunity. We saw veterans throughout the country step up and serve their nation in new, creative, and powerful ways that Ryan talked about earlier. What started as a period of fear and uncertainty became an opportunity for strength, service, all because of veterans and families of the fallen stepped forward to stand in the gap and lead. Or you could look at the Travis Manion Foundation. When my late wife Janet started this organization after Travis's death in 2007, I can assure you that I had no idea what it would become 15 years later. I like to say I saw its potential from the outset, and I was confident of the movement of character and service that would sweep the nation. That's not the case. At the time, honestly, I was just glad our family had a small way to mourn our son and the loss and do something good in his honor. And look around the room tonight and where we are today. We have hundreds and thousands of people who have joined our movement to serve because they too want to honor the fallen and make a difference for others. Next award recipient brought these concepts of fate and possibility to life for me in a whole new way. My connection to our next speaker started when he was a Lance Corporal serving in Iraq on the day we lost Travis in an ambush. I didn't know Chuck Siegel when he first showed up to this unit in Fallujah, but I would come to know Chuck and his story in a special way in the years to come. And his presence has played a powerful role, not just with my own family, but with a much larger global TMF family that Chuck now helps lead. Let's take a moment to look at Chuck's story.
So I joined up I think I shipped off to boot camp November 2004. So in 2007, I had left my unit to go assist on a MIT team, a military Iraqi training team. So I was given an opportunity to go into the city of Fallujah, and I met Travis Manion. I remember showing up that first night. They were already in country. They had been there for several months, and I just came in as this little Lance Corporal ready to, go fight a war. And a small team gets put together. There's like 2 Humvees worth of Marines, myself, the lieutenant that was in charge of me, staff sergeant, my turret gunner, and then the other vehicle had Travis Manion, the major in charge of the MIT team, and our corpsman, and then translators in both vehicles. And we went out and went to this really crappy area in the city called the Pizza Slice. I always hated going to that area. It just was an uncomfortable spot to be in. It's like being in Times Square, but Times Square is hostile. We were basically told by some locals to go to this house. This is where we could find the sniper, or whatever it may be. That intelligence came through the Iraqi army. Again, we were a small unit of Marines. There was more Iraqi army. We're there helping them. Got some information, go to this house. So we go to this house, and we cleared it out, and there wasn't anything there. I remember getting up onto the rooftop. Travis Manion was there, my lieutenant, my major, like, there's nothing here. And that's when the Iraqi officer said, I feel like we've been told to go to the wrong spot. We need to get the fuck out of here. My vehicle was right outside of that house. I got into it. I swear, I just shut the door and immediately heard my turret gunner saying, man down, casualty. Without even hesitation, myself and the lieutenant that was with me got right back out of the vehicle, and I ran straight to Doc. What was different about this time with the sniper than all the other times is immediately there was a large amount of gunfire. So I knew, we were funneled into this position. We're getting ambushed. Went against all my training to find cover and just ran at him. And on my way to running to him, I got shot in the stomach. I don't know, the world just caught on fire. Just 2 turret gunners now and 3 Marines on the ground. I'm in the middle of the street with myself and the corpsman, who was gravely injured. I don't know, I just needed to move from where I was. I actually got shot one more time, a grazing wound. He basically aimed right at my center mass again, and he missed, and the bullet went straight through. I just started moving, and I looked at Doc and realized I couldn't do anything for him. I just couldn't do anything for him. I was barely holding on myself. At this time, unbeknownst to me, Travis is on the other side of a vehicle firing back from where we thought the sniper fire was coming from. He was shooting 203 rounds. Just blasting wherever the sniper was coming from, just to try and, make sure he couldn't shoot anymore. That sniper took his scope off of me when he realized I wasn't shooting back. Put a scope on Travis. One more shot, and that was it for me. The only reason, and I know this in my heart, that he didn't fire at me again is because Travis was, pulled me from the street, put me together, and was firing back. And he realized he had a more prioritized target than myself. And unfortunately, he didn't miss with Travis. I got out in 2008. It's a really, really, really bad time to get out of the military. I thought, I'll just get a job. Like anybody wants to hire a veteran. And I quickly realized there weren't jobs available. I was struggling with a lot. I was struggling with depression. I was struggling with PTSD. I was struggling with substances. I was struggling with being lost, not having a sense of purpose, not having a goal, not having a clear idea of how I wanted to move forward with my life after service. It was tremendous how long that went on. And it was tremendous how many other veterans I saw struggling with that. I think I just, a lot of it, I got sick of getting a phone call or getting a private message that another person that I knew had passed well after service. I'm struggling with that. I have more friends who have passed post-service than in service. I needed to redefine who I was. I didn't want to be the messed up veteran anymore. I knew that the Travis Manion Foundation had been set up. I had been in contact with the family a little bit. Ryan and I, we had talked a couple of times. She reached out to me and said that she had to come to Atlanta. She knew I was in the Atlanta area, that she had to do a speech. And I asked her where she was doing her presentation, and she's like, oh, I'm going to the Home Depot Store Support Center. And I was like, well, that's crazy, because I work at Home Depot, which she didn't know at the time. So it just started from there. She invited me to go to the Store Support Center. I work at an actual Home Depot, so not the corporate center. So I thought it was pretty cool. I got an invite to it, and we went for Memorial Day 2018. And that was the first time we met face to face. I just knew at that point, after watching her speech, I knew this is where I needed to be. I wanted to be involved in this. So I told her, I said, I'd like to do something. I want to get more involved. And I was like, all right, cool. Come to Puerto Rico with me. So that was the start of it. She just said, just come on an expedition. And, you know, I had no expectations. I wasn't at that point highly engaged in TMF or highly engaged in even service work in general. I just knew I should do this. I don't know what it's going to offer me, but I gotta take that step and go see. I found there that giving myself to service again, like I did when I joined the Marine Corps, like just letting go and saying, I'll do whatever the Marine Corps asks me to. I'm gonna be of service to my country. I learned that if I made that same mental decision again, now redirected in my adult life to exactly where I want to put it, if I made that self-service call again, it was rewarding. It took away a lot of the dark memories and the mental paths you go down, the self-loathing and the depression and the inability to get past the loss. Once I started giving again and just being who I am, to see the faces of the people that we were giving to see the smiles and the faces of people that I was with that had, you know, a similar experience of loss, just changed my whole outlook. I think a lot of veterans get stuck on this notion that we're broken, you know, that this is who we're going to be forever. Can't get past the war, can't get past our losses, can't get past our feelings. TMF helped show me a positive side to all of that. It reminded me of who I was when I got out of boot camp and I got home and I wore that uniform for the first time in front of my friends and family, and they loved me and they were proud of me and I was proud of myself. And I get that every time I do a service project with TMF. I do that every time I honor a fallen veteran or a fallen hero with TMF. I get that every time I can get in front of a group of kids and share what character is and why it matters and why any individual on the face of the planet can be just like I was that day with my uniform in front of my friends and my family for the first time and saying, I've accomplished this. The battle's never gonna end for me. I know that. It's never gonna end for any of my friends either. But we can make the fight a worthwhile fight and continue our friend's legacy.
Well, you talk about things coming full cycle. That's a big wow for me. And I really can't think of a more deserving person to receive the If Not Me Then Who award than Chuck Siegel. As Chuck says in the video, our fight isn't over. There'll be more struggles ahead for all of us, whether on a personal, community, or national level. But together we'll make the fight worthwhile. And we'll find success in the end because our veterans like Chuck, who know the true meaning of service, sacrifice, and leadership, will lead the way. So with that, I'm extremely honored to welcome to the stage the 2021 If Not Me Then Who award recipient, Marine Corps veteran, Chuck Siegel.
Thank you. It's not mine. First of all, I'd like to say how very humbling it is to be here tonight. To be recognized by such an amazing organization as the Travis Manion Foundation is a complete honor. You know, I wouldn't be here tonight or where I'm at in life without the support of so many staff members at TMF, as well as all the veterans, families, mentors, volunteers, and supporters I've met along this journey. I do need to thank a very important person. She didn't know me when I was in service and probably didn't fully understand what she was signing up for when she met me. A woman who spends her life giving either as a teacher, a mother, or the dedicated spouse of a veteran. She's 36 weeks pregnant tonight. She risked taking a 2-hour flight from Atlanta to be here with me because she's my biggest supporter. So to my wife, Danielle, thank you. I definitely could not do what I do or be who I am without your unwavering support. Yeah. So, you know, watching the video you just saw, I really can't help but think about how far I've come in such a short amount of time. You know, that I went from feeling at an all-time low to being the happiest and most productive I've ever been in my life. Making that connection with TMF and being able to move on from the past and start working towards the future, you know, has not only opened up doors for me, but it's reignited the passion I have for being a leader and being of service of others. Through this experience, I've actually been able to completely change my career, and I've secured a role at the Home Depot Foundation, where every day I get to help lead more than 100,000 associates, help veterans and communities across this country. Not only did TMF play a role in bettering my personal life, but they're a fantastic organization to partner with in my professional life. So looking forward, I'm excited to continue embodying the character traits of people like Travis and continue developing my own leadership skills. More importantly, I'm excited to share those traits and those qualities with others, especially veterans who may find themselves in similar situations to my own. I'm driven to continue moving forward and bettering our communities across this country, one veteran at a time, one service project at a time, one child at a time, one if not me then who moment at a time. Thank you.
Congratulations, Chuck, on the If Not Me Then Who Leadership Award. Very well deserved, and thank you for those remarks. We are blessed to have the young men of Gentlemen of Vision Rite of Passage Enterprises with us this evening. This is an amazing organization whose mission is to shape and mold young men into positive, productive professionals through mentoring, academics, dance, and counseling. Since they were founded in 2009, their efforts to curtail rising dropout rates have led to a 100% high school graduation rate amongst their members. Additionally to that, all members have also been accepted to a college or university. And just for context, this is really important, their results are different compared to this. The overall black male graduation rate in Missouri is just under 66%. So that gives you some idea of how important those percentages are. These young men with us today are an example of what happens when we encourage the next generation to lead and serve. They will join us on stage for a special performance in a moment, but first, let's take a look at their story.
In the high school, I looked around and realized there was not a lot of programs for males outside of sports. And so I would see a lot of really good guys in trouble or hang with the wrong crowd. And I would drive off the parking lot feeling like, you know, defeated. Like, can I do more? What can I do? I decided to start an organization, Gentlemen of Vision. And the original idea was just to get a guy something to do, not knowing that we would be a powerhouse in the art of step.
What I'm doing now, I never would have thought that I would be doing. I'm coaching a step team, and it's insanity if you look at it from the 25-year-old Chris Randall. You know, 25-year-old Chris Randall probably would laugh at you at the thought of what I do or what I've been doing for close to 11 years. I was in the Marine Corps. I was a grunt. I was in the infantry. He came in and he saw that I was a Marine. He said, "Hey, would you like to come in? We're starting a step team here. Would you like to show him a little left face, right face?" And next thing I know, I saw these kids that were acting crazy all day. They were in this environment. They were sharp. They were disciplined. They were listening. They were paying attention and saying, "Yes, sir," "No, sir," and screaming, parade rest. I'm like, yes, this is what I'm about.
Parade rest.
He was intense. It was like, oh, this is crazy. Like, we're doing all this. Like, it's a lot of movement, it's a lot of workouts. You got him being intense in the corner. It was just a lot going on. But then you just kind of grow on it, and now it's just like a regular thing.
When you think of step, it's just something probably like girls do. But stepping the way we do is just completely a different style of it.
G-O-V.
It was a beautiful moment when we were able to start to interweave some of the principles and the teachings of Travis Manion's CDM program into our curriculum and into the work that we do with our young men, because it just made sense. They took to it and they really they applied it to their own lives, and they applied it using people and scenarios and situations that they were familiar with, and it connected to them and it resonated deeply.
Me, I never had a father figure, but him stepping in along with Mr. Warden, they both had shown so much fatherhood to me. It was just shocking of how much love that I've ever gotten from a male figure at all.
I'm passionate about developing young leaders and developing people that are going to help change the world, and investing into kids that are often written off as a problem, written off as failures. But if you invest into them, they can do amazing things, and I've witnessed it from start to finish.
5, 6, 7, 8. Let's go! You can't see the
Well, get ready. Please welcome to the stage Gentlemen of Vision, coached by Marlon Wharton and Marine veteran Chris Randall.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Javon Jones. My 3 character traits are creativity, kindness, and perspective. I chose creativity because majority of the steps you see here today are majority made by me.
We step to win. We never lose. One thing I know for sure. If not me, then who?
How y'all doing? My name is Charles Wilson. My name is Charles Wilson. My 3 characteristic traits are fairness, teamwork, and gratitude. I chose gratitude because you have to be thankful for the things that you have.
Good evening. My name is Jamiri Bunch, and my 3 characteristics are social intelligence, perseverance, and leadership. I chose leadership because in the past I've served as gentleman of visions, president and vice president.
G-O-V. Let's go. You came to see the G. G.
How's everybody doing today? My name is Jerron Higgins. My 3 characteristics are bravery, curiosity, and hope. I chose hope because any obstacle I face, I can always overcome it.
Hello, everybody. My name is Luke Howard, and my 3 characteristics are judgment, zest, and humor. And I chose humor because laughter helps me get through my day.
G-O-V.
Can we have a round of applause, please? That was incredible, and wow, on the stage too. Really nice job. Thank you for sharing your talents with us. Before you leave the stage, though, I want to bring up your mentor and coach, Marine veteran Chris Randall. Chris, we have a special surprise tonight. The Travis Manion Foundation has been so touched by the work that Chris and Marlon are doing together to develop young men of character and talent, clearly. I'm honored to be the first to announce that tonight, Gentlemen of Vision will be receiving a $5,000 grant from the Travis Manion Foundation. And that's to continue to support their mission and the continued build-out of their character programming. Additionally, through their continued support of the Character Does Matter program, Travis Manion Foundation and Under Armour have committed to outfitting Gentlemen of Vision in style with new gear as well, which is also a plus. Congratulations to you all. Chris?
Speechless. Always good to hear something's coming, so no, I'm grateful. You know, honestly, statistically, I'm not supposed to be here. The environment in which I was raised, born into, stated that I wasn't supposed to survive to the age of 25. But it was for great men and mentors like Master Sergeant Robinson and Master Sergeant Wilkins that helped mentor me when I was just a child and saw things that were great inside of me that I hadn't yet seen for myself. Which led me to my time into the Marine Corps, which again landed me in a place that I was not statistically supposed to survive, which further led me into working as a police officer back in St. Louis, where again, statistically, I wasn't supposed to survive. But with all those odds stacked up against me, it led me to an organization that I love and where statistically the odds are stacked against the same young men that are standing behind me. And I'm grateful for Mr. Marlon Wharton, Mr. Quentin Williams for allowing me the opportunity to serve. I'm grateful for the Travis Manion Foundation and Under Armour for continuously pouring into myself through the Spartan Leadership Program and just through mentorship and just these opportunities just right here, right now that more than myself, I'm grateful for what you're doing for these young men. And just, I'm happy, I'm excited, and just grateful is the simple word that I have, so thank you. And I get out of your face, and I have the great honor and privilege to introduce who we call Castaway, but to you all, he is known as Mr. Daryl Burkhalter, Jr.
How y'all doing today? Y'all like the show? Everyone like the show? Gentlemen of Vision is a program that teaches men how to become leaders and excellent. My mentor, a Marine veteran, a person that plays a key role in the Travis Manion Foundation, a father, and even a father figure to myself. That's my coach, Christopher Randall. Christopher Randall has taught me everything I need to know about leadership and discipline, which is why I am the current president of Gentlemen of Vision. Mr. Randall's time, Mr. Randall's time in the military came upon us to learn everything we need to know to become better men of character. So with that being said, I would like to thank Mr. Randall for everything he has done for me and the rest of my brothers in the program. Thank you, Mr. Randall, and keep on doing everything you do.
So anything can happen. So we have a anonymous $5,000 donor matching the $5,000 grant. So now it's $10,000. We're not putting limits on it, so, you know. Okay, just think about it, I'm just saying. Thank you very much to Gentlemen of Vision. We really appreciate it. And we certainly look forward to their great work they're going to continue to do. It's now my honor to introduce to you the 19th Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff and former Principal Military Advisor to the President, Secretary of Defense, and National Security Council. Before that, he also served as the 36th Commandant of the Marine Corps, and since he has now transitioned to a different journey, he's continued to serve in a new role, now as an invaluable member of the Travis Manion Foundation's Board of Directors. Please welcome to the stage General Joseph Dunford.
Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Gold Star families and Spartans. It really is for Ellen and I an honor to be with you. And one of the themes tonight is we're here post-COVID and actually able to be here in person. And for me personally, I joined the board 18 months ago, and this is the first time I've had an opportunity to be around the other board members and to be around the leadership team, so it's pretty special. You know, I took off the uniform just about 2 years ago, and COVID hit about 3 months after I took off my uniform. And I learned about Zoom very shortly after COVID started. In the probably first 2 weeks of these Zoom calls, Ryan and Tom Manion asked for a Zoom. So I said, okay, I'll do that. And Tom and Ryan get on, and I remember the first 5 minutes of that Zoom call. It went along the lines of, Ryan, I really am honored that you would ask me to be on the board. I certainly know the foundation. I've been around since the beginning. I admire what you're doing. But, you know, all the advice that I've had from people about transition is to not make any commitments these first few months. So I don't want to make any commitments right now. And I've already broken that rule. And so, you know, maybe we could, well, I don't remember the next 50 minutes of the Zoom. All I remember was the last 5 minutes when Ryan said, well, that's great. We'll send you the onboard material. It'll be FedExed on Tuesday, and the first board meeting is next Tuesday, and we'll have another Zoom. There's 400 people here tonight. Is there anybody here who's ever said no to Ryan Manion? Please stand up. No, there actually isn't. Tom, put your hand down. I know that you never did, ever, ever. You know, on a serious note, people have asked me, hey, do you miss being in uniform? And most of the time, you know, I'll flippantly say, you know, 42 years, no, I don't miss it. But the one thing that I do miss, and the one thing that I say that I miss is, I miss the sense of purpose in the mission that you have when you're on active duty or in uniform. And I miss being around a bunch of people who share that commitment and share that sense of purpose. And that's what I typically say to people when they say, do you miss it? And although I joined TMF really because Ryan and Tom put me in a headlock and they said I had to do it, that's why I joined. That's not actually why I'm actually so happy to be a part of the team here tonight. And I'll just share one anecdote with you. I've started doing a number of things, and 1 week in particular, my wife Ellen will remember this, I did a couple of meetings, I did a couple of business engagements, and I came home on Friday, and I said, Ellen, I don't want to do this stuff anymore. And she, hey, don't get hasty now, you know, you maybe want to think about it. I said, no, there's a lot of these things, my heart's not in it. And then on that Sunday night, I spent some time with the Spartan Leadership Program. So I joined them late in the evening, and they had spent, this is a Sunday, they'd spent 6 or 7 hours before I joined them thinking about how they were going to do their community engagement plans and so forth. And I spoke to them for a few minutes, and then I took questions, and we had a little bit of an engagement. And I went downstairs, it's about 8:30 at night on a Sunday night, and I said, Ellen, that's as happy as I have been in months. I just spent 2 hours with my people. And ladies and gentlemen, I now know, when I was on active duty, I knew TMF was really something special. I really do believe in it. But I think that it actually takes, when you take off the uniform, to realize and appreciate what TMF gives to veterans, what TMF gives to Gold Star families and others who are involved with TMF. What it gives us all is an opportunity to continue to do what we are so proud to do, which is be a part of something bigger than ourselves, words that have been used tonight. What it does is allow us to do something that actually matters. You see these young men that were just here a minute ago? That really matters. I mean, huge impact. It really matters. And tonight, I have the honor of introducing somebody who really, as much as anyone I could imagine, embodies the values of this organization and certainly the organization that he was a part of, the United States Marine Corps. And, Kyle Carpenter, everybody knows, his bio is in your program. Kyle Carpenter had an if not me then who moment in 2010 when one of his fellow Marines was in harm's way and he put himself between a grenade and that Marine. And I had an extraordinary experience in September. Ellen and I were at an event, and there was several catastrophically wounded Marines, veterans that were there. And one of them was in a wheelchair, and I went over and I started to introduce myself, and I talked to him and his mother, and I said, what's your name? He said, my name's Nick Eufrazio. That's actually the Marine that Carl Carpenter saved. And I saw him in September. Come to find out, he lives 10 minutes from me right now. And Kyle, Nick is around. We've heard other stories tonight. Chuck, amazing, amazing story that you shared with us here tonight. So proud of you as well. But beyond that, if not me, then who moment, and beyond the Medal of Honor, which Kyle deserved, and we're so proud of him for, it's beyond that. It's the character does matter. So the other part of the Travis Manion Foundation, the character does matter. Kyle, when asked a few years ago, why did you join the Marine Corps? Why did you join the military? He said, when I was in high school, I went on a trip to the Dominican Republic. And I knew when I was participating in that visit that I wanted to be a part, these are his words, I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself. I wanted to serve. I wanted to make a difference. And that's how he found his way to the military. And I guess, Kyle, you humored your parents and you interviewed with all of the recruiters from all of the services before you went and did what you were going to do anyway, which was to join the United States Marine Corps. But Kyle today, to give you some indication, he does a lot of things. He's a public speaker. He's an author. And one of the things that struck me tonight in a conversation I had with him, he's part of Washington Speakers Bureau. So he gets paid to give remarks. And be honest with you, there's a lot of people that would pay to listen to Kyle Carpenter. And those of you who have never heard him will know why in a few minutes. But Kyle, when Washington Speakers Bureau was bringing him on, he had one stipulation. He said, hey, listen, I do a lot with organizations that really mean a lot to me, nonprofit organizations. And I just want to make sure that, part of this WSB thing doesn't get in the way of that. I mean, that's the kind of individual that Kyle Carpenter is. And then when you think about what TMF does and character does matter and youth development and so forth, you can go online and see a YouTube video of Kyle Carpenter sitting in the seats surrounded by a bunch of young people, talking to them about values, talking to them about service, talking to them about character does matter. So, ladies and gentlemen, when you have a guest of honor like Kyle Carpenter and you have the program that we had here tonight, I think we should all walk away here tonight with two things. One, a tremendous appreciation for Tom, that vision that Janet had that you didn't know would be what we see here tonight. But Ryan and you and the other leadership of the organization have taken it to the organization we have tonight. And I probably could have saved everybody a lot of time by saying, do you know why I'm a part of TMF? Well, just pay attention to the last 2 hours. That's why I'm a part of TMF. But ladies and gentlemen, it gives me a great honor to introduce Kyle Carpenter, somebody who has had an if not me then who moment and acted, somebody who lives, character does matter, someone who is incredibly humble and really does live core values. And before I finish, a little bit lighter note, you know, Kyle's a lot of things. So he's a Marine, he's a Medal of Honor recipient, he's an author, he's a South Carolina Gamecock, he's a lot of things. But on the 6th of November of 2021, Kyle became Brittany's husband. Ladies and gentlemen, if you please join me in welcoming truly an American hero and somebody who epitomizes what we're all about here tonight, Kyle Carpenter, United States Marine Corps, Medal of Honor recipient. Kyle.
Well, we're off to a great start, not because that was one of the greatest introductions I've ever had, but because for the first time I've never had to not lower the microphone. So that's a win. After hearing all of the incredible speakers tonight, I thought, you know, not only do we have CEOs, my fellow Marine and dear friend and mentor for many years, and casually the former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. But we have incredible people like Chuck and Chris. I thought maybe I should have put my notes on the prompter. And speaking of, I gotta bust them out. They're pretty extensive. My index card, but you know, it drives my mom crazy that I don't write every single word out. But I've learned from my journey that life is about being somewhat prepared, but just as much going with the flow, embracing the journey, and ultimately just putting your best foot and the best version of your heart forward. Hey, and also the Gentleman of Vision. That was incredible. Thank you for that. Thank you for waking everyone up. Before I got up here, and you can tell that you are led by a professional and crazy Marine. So, hey, y'all are amazing. And ultimately, hey, thank you for striving to see a bigger purpose and a bigger mission and following through with that. But I'll get to it. You know, and another thing with my notes, some moments in life are too powerful for words, to prepare words. And tonight is one of those moments. So all I'll say is to Colonel Manion, to Ryan, as just a Marine, a wounded warrior, a human being, and an American. I just hope that with my words tonight and with the rest of my time here on earth, I just hope to make families like yours proud, and ultimately to make those who gave that last full valiant measure of devotion, who never made it home, proud, and to just try to whatever capacity I can to be the voice for them. As I thought meticulously on what I could share tonight with the time that I had, I decided to break it down into 3 expedited stories, and 3 stories that have a focal point, which are also words and have been focal points and just deep meaning in parts of my journey. Time, perspective, and impact, most fitting for tonight. Time. My life began when I was born, but my journey of self-discovery and perspective began the moment a hand grenade tore my body and my life apart. As I felt myself bleeding out on top of that roof, I knew that was it. I thought about my family, specifically my mom, and how devastated she was going to be when she got the news. And I said a final prayer for forgiveness for anything I had done wrong in my life. And I faded from consciousness in the world for what I thought was the last time. To my very happy and pleasant surprise, it was not. And when I woke up roughly 5 weeks later and opened the only eye I had left to those bright red Christmas stockings that my mom had hung decorating my hospital room, along with being in a perpetual state of disbelief, just as much as I am this very moment, I realized that time and our lives are so fragile and finite and short. But that's also what makes it so beautiful. So with time, I encourage you to be the person you need and should be in life, so that when you reach those final moments, you don't panic and wish for more time. You don't need more time. You don't hope for more time because you lived your life accordingly. You lived your life for others. You lived a if not me, then who type of life. My second topic, an idea, is perspective. After I finished my 3-year recovery at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, at the time, back in the old school days, it was Bethesda National Naval Medical Center. Oh, by the way, shout out to all the nurses and medical professionals, one of which took care of me here tonight. I got done with my recovery, and I had debated many, many months on did I want to, quote unquote, hang the uniform up. I had only served technically a year and a half before getting injured, and most of my 5-year journey through the military was in the hospital. I decided that I had bled and given all I could for my country, which I would never trade a second for. Sometimes I wish I could have given more. But I'm so thankful to have had the opportunity to have given my best effort and bled for this country. And so that, along with the incredible relationships I made before getting injured and during my time in the hospital with the most incredible people and wounded warriors. Well, I lied, I'm lowering the mic. With the most incredible people and wounded warriors, those that with no limbs as quadruple amputees every day would, with what's left of their arms, push their electric wheelchairs to therapy with smiles on their face, with their newborn children sitting on what's left of their legs. I knew that that part of my life would never go anywhere. And so I decided to get out and to go to school. Something, Sir General Dunford, he put all the spotlight on me, but it's because of great people and mentors and Marines like him, who was one of the few people, and I'll never forget this, but he's one of the few people for years and years, as I felt like, and sometimes it really was, the entire country and all these different groups and people were pulling at me. His first question was always, how's school? Are you staying in school? Are you staying true to yourself? So he always helped keep me on the path. But I got out, and after a 3-year recovery, I drove out of the gate of Walter Reed, and I moved into a single 100% college-style apartment. I think I passed a couple beer cans on my move-in. And a week later, after spending 3 years in the hospital, I was walking to classes with a different pack on my back. During my junior year at the University of South Carolina, I had just left a business meeting because I was pretending that I could do all of these different things. And I was dressed pretty sharp, in my very humble opinion. And I passed 2 homeless gentlemen on the street on the walk to my car, going to class. And one of them, clearly not knowing my history, shot me a finger pistol and said, "Hey, looking sharp, brother." I thanked him genuinely. I told him I appreciated the happiness in that moment he had just shared with me. And I always try to be open and honest, but I will say that my next statement, I'm embarrassed and I'm ashamed to say, but it's a vital part of the story, and that is, I braced for the question, the follow-up question after the compliment of asking me for money or something that he might need. And not a single other word was said. And every step I made closer to my car, I felt like I was getting pulled back 10. And I just thought, what if you never see this genuinely beautiful human and nice man again? And so I threw all of my papers in the car, I shut the door, and I went back to find what was about to become my new friend, Kenny. And me and Kenny sat there and talked for 30 minutes or so before I had to head back to class, like the good student I was, sir. And I sat with Kenny, and it was an incredible moment Kenny not only helped teach me that whether your scars are from a tough life on the streets or a hand grenade in Afghanistan or putting it all on the line like our incredible Afghan counterparts did to help us and to help their country. He helped teach me that no matter where our scars, inside or out, come from, that struggle is the common thread throughout every single person on this earth. And so I wrapped my conversation up with Kenny, and I wanted to do something, and I really didn't have any money, and so I asked him, "Hey Kenny, you want to walk up the street to the College Mart and let me load you up on some snacks, whatever you want, some drinks?" And he said, yeah. And I don't smoke, but can you get me a pack of cigarettes? I thought, okay, Kenny, you don't smoke. Why do you need a pack of cigarettes? And his answer, I think about often, and it still chokes me up. Because just when you think you know what's going on, Kenny says to me, no, I don't smoke, but cigarettes are like gold down at the shelter. I can sell each one for $2. I thought, man, not only am I glad I have sunglasses on right now, but you never know what people around you are going through in life. Someone somewhere is having the worst day of their life. And all of us, big or small, and whether you want to admit it or not, every single day face some kind of battle. Perspective is everything. Perspective is one of the main reasons, but aside from my amazing medical team and my family who never left my side, my fellow Marines, and all of you that have crossed my path and helped me along the way, perspective is the reason I can stand in front of you here tonight. Perspective allows us to look at that glass half full, but never forget what it was like when we could only see it half empty. My third and final story, and I guess lesson for the night, is impact. This next story I'll never be able to comprehend. Years ago, before I was a Medal of Honor recipient, I was a recovering wounded warrior, with some more time to heal up, going to be a transitioning veteran. And like Chuck, you're the man, Semper Fi, brother. As Chuck so powerfully put, I was just trying to figure it out. Trying to figure out not only who this new version of Kyle was, trying to figure out this new banged up, torn apart, freshly healing body was able to do and what it could do. And I, like so many of my wonderful Marine Corps mentors, General James Amos was the commandant at the time. And he invited me to go to, I guess I would say his Marine Corps birthday ball, but really all of ours. But as commandant, it was the one that he attended in Washington, D.C. And being right down the road from my 3-year temporary home, and a chance to get out of the hospital, I happily and excitedly agreed. And I took off to a Marine Corps birthday ball that was much nicer than the falling apart, melted, shot up cake that was dropped to us in Afghanistan. And I got there, and it was an amazing night, and at the end of everything, I was in a meet and greet line. And again, I wasn't a Medal of Honor recipient, but some people had started following the Facebook page that my mom and parents had started for mass updates, just to tell people, hey, Kyle's still alive, he's hanging on, just got out of a 13-hour surgery to fix his arm, so on and so forth. And a Marine approached me whose rank and rack of ribbons showed me that he had probably been in combat since I had been in diapers. And like any good Lance Corporal at the time, I got nervous. I thought, what did I do? But as he approached me, I could see that he, it seemed like he had tears in his eyes. I thought, oh man, I really messed up, even worse than I thought. And as he got closer, again, the struggle that connects all of us, I could see that he was truly hurting, deeply hurting, from what I didn't know. So I gave him a hug, I put my arm around him, I turned us away from the cameras, hopefully creating a more welcoming presence or a place to talk. And he said, I didn't kill myself because of you. If you can get up out of the bed every day and put one step in front of the other, I can too. And I share that story. Again, I'll never be able to comprehend it, but I share it to say that I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea that people were tuning into my story and my recovery and my journey. But unbeknownst to me, they were. One of the frustrating but also very beautiful things about impact is that a lot of the times we don't see the full ripple effects from that impact. You throw a rock in a pond, they start out small, and then even though you can't see them, they continue to travel on and on, again, to where we don't know. So, I just want to thank you, all of you, as not only genuine people, great Americans, but people who, by being here, by giving of your hard-earned money, your time, you give more than you take. And I couldn't think of a more perfect story or theme to tell here to wrap things up tonight. If not me, then who? Those are very powerful words. Imagine if everyone in the world said that every morning when they woke up and got out of bed. So stay motivated, stay true to yourselves, and always remember that the The beautiful thing about impact is many times you never see those ripples. I'll leave you with this. Appreciate the small and simple things. Be kind and help others. Let the ones you love always know you love them. And when things get hard, or you get knocked down or blown up, trust that there is a plan and that you will be stronger for it. I'm Kyle Carpenter, and you are worth it.
Thank you so much to Kyle for those inspiring words, very insightful. We appreciate being able to hear some of your story. So another quick announcement. We're at the end of our evening, so soon. And we have 3 quick things to do. But before we get to them, just want to mention that we actually have another anonymous donor adding another $5,000 to Gentlemen of Vision. So that's $15,000. I don't do auctions, but I could. I mean, we could just, does anyone want, okay. Let's just see how the night goes. It's been an honor to be a part of this program and to see the impact of the work that the Travis Manion Foundation is doing. So 3 quick things. Number 1, you heard from General Dunford about the impact of the Travis Manion Foundation. And we just want to make sure that you know in your program, and I just found it so you don't have to look. It's right here. This is the QRF code, and you can go ahead and scan that. It also gives you a text message if you'd like to make any donations. Remember, your donations are matched up to $100,000 until the end of the month, so you could take that with you. Number 2, you might want to take that with you to the after party, because what goes with the cocktail but scanning a QRF code, right? We do it with online shopping. We can do it for this. It's going to work out great. So there is an after party in the hall where you all had cocktails. You could join us for more cocktails and music, dancing, stepping. Are the boys still awake? Should they be in bed? The after party goes to midnight, which sounds like 3 o'clock in the morning to a mother. But yes, to midnight. So there it is. Finally, this is the last thing. On your table, you'll notice a bottle of Basil Hayden. Did I say that correctly, Ryan? Do you see the bottle on your table? Yes. This is important. Yes. Colonel Manion is opening the bottle right now. I'll give you a play-by-play. So the story behind the Basil Hayden is this is Janet Manion's favorite alcohol, whiskey. It was her drink of choice. So you're kind of under an obligation. What we're going to do, you don't have to take a shot of Basil Hayden. You could do water. It actually says in my script that I'm supposed to take a shot. It could happen. I don't have it. Yeah. Colonel Manion, come on. What did they teach you in the Marines here? So what we're going to do is raise these glasses as Janet would. Do you have one? Does everyone have a bottle? Mary Catherine, good. Oh, that's like 3 shots in here. I know. All right. Does everyone have a cup? All right, you're looking good. Okay. General Dunford, very good. Okay. We told you it would be not unlike any event. Can we have a little ding, ding, ding? Anyone? Can you give me a ding, ding, ding? Thank you. All right. We told you this would be different than any other military charity event you've ever been. So this is how we're going to end it. As Janet would, in honor of the service members who have selflessly sacrificed for this great country, we honor them, we honor their families that also made the sacrifice. And we're going to honor them by remembering their actions. We're going to remember their stories. May their legacies inspire us, and may they never be forgotten. If not me, then who? Cheers. Have a great evening. Thank you so much.